Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Okay, so we have Dalal all the way from Kuwait. You're still in
Yes.
Kuwait? Oh my gosh, can you believe how global this summit is? It's amazing. So Dalal is going to be moderating our next conversation. Let's bring up Rihanna and Alexis. Hello, Rihanna
Hey,
Lynn.
how's it going? Good
Hello,
to see you guys.
Alexis. Oh
Hi.
my goodness. You guys are all over the world connecting right now. I love to see it. All right. Well, I am going to hop off the screen, but I will leave it to you three to tell us about the power of data and STEM and everybody that thought, I don't know food. How can I make a difference in the food system? But they know numbers and they know coding and they know data. These three ladies will tell you about that. Look forward to it.
Thanks, Jennifer. Hi, everyone. It's really great. Today, you're in for a treat. We're going to be talking to some amazing women in big data. So they're really bridging the gap between software, AI, food, diet, and nutrition. So before we get started, I'll just introduce you. So we have Ariana Lin, who's the founder and CEO of Journey Foods. We also have Alexis Fox, who's the co-founder of Lighter. And as we get started, it would be great to hear from both of you a little bit about yourselves as well as the inspiration behind your companies. So Rihanna, would you like to start?
You. Last time we saw each other, Dalal was, for everyone here, a mentor of my company in our pre-seed. We did a program in Hong Kong as we really thought about the way that we wanted to launch the business. For me, I wanted to create a company, a software company that could be powered by one of the world's most actionable databases. And for that, my team thought that having global partnerships, having a global group of early investors would be valuable to our early impact. And Dalal was able to really be a part of our early Asia journey. So at Journey Foods, we offer software services to some of the world's most exciting and as well as global food companies, both ingredient manufacturers and CPG companies that a lot of us have heard of and love. And what's most exciting is we help their teams save time and money as they bring billions of products to consumers every year. And how we do that is really looking at data that is bridged and sort of centered around nutrition and the sustainability needs of companies. But we layer on top of existing software solutions that these businesses are using every single day, and just add on another piece of insights, so that now, especially in the wake of COVID, teams that are working remote more than ever can have data that really matters for better food. Consumers are demanding more and more every single year. And what's valuable is that we need to make sure that we can get food to the shelves, to stores, through Instacart, through Amazon, however we receive food. And the changes take place at a much faster clip. And I'm very excited to think about how we can use data to redesign how traditional methods have been used in food. We've just been using food science for the past 40, 50 years, really to scale food for billions and millions of people. And we want to make sure that our data is ethical and valuable and really helping drive what consumers need most. And that's quality, healthy, sustainable food that is good for the planet, good for our bodies, and also more vegan.
Absolutely. What about you, Alexis?
Well, first, before I say anything about myself, I am so inspired by this event. I am obsessed with how we're hearing from people all over the world, and just so inspired by both of you and all of the women that we've heard from. It's been really wonderful on a rainy day here in Boston. So I have been an activist my whole life. I've cared about this question of how do we help people eat a plant-based diet for over 20 years. And I started my company Lighter with my co-founder, Micah Risk, because we saw a massive gap between these incredible people, leading celebrities, world-class athletes, documentary filmmakers, people who are doing an awesome job inspiring and motivating people to eat a plant-based diet. But once you saw the documentary or you heard that Beyonce went vegan for Coachella and you wanted to eat like her, the question is like, okay, well, what do I eat? And so we built meal planning technology. And this is without either of us having any kind of a software background. I can talk about that later. We hired people who built meal planning technology that could take the overarching nutrition philosophy of our partner and then personalize it for an individual, for their family. And then we were one of the first companies to get APIs with Amazon and Instacart for grocery delivery. So you could watch that documentary, be inspired to change the way you eat, and a couple hours later have a bag of groceries delivered to your door that was plant-based and was helping you on your journey. And then we have food coaches to help along the way. In 2018, we saw an even bigger opportunity than that. We saw that the efficacy of a plant-based diet to not only prevent but reverse chronic disease is enormous, and it's very well studied over the last 30 years. And we saw that our technology could be leveraged to work within a healthcare system. So we went back in and did a health tech accelerator and kind of bet the company on moving into healthcare. And that is very important that we're doing right now to leverage our technology to bring food and medicine to the masses. If we really want to impact the masses, about 60% of Americans, I don't know about other countries, but Americans are living with a chronic disease, at least one, and they have a real self-interest, many of them, in turning towards more plant-based diet, and we are working to help them with their health plans to get them there.
Amazing. And we're really, really inspired by both of you, and really this, impact that you're making by utilizing data to really create accurate scientific results. So we really commend you for all your amazing work. And speaking of data, right? We all, hear this quote that data is the new currency, that in these times, every business sector is going to be disrupted by a digital transformation. So, based on your company, but also your predictions for the future, maybe my question for you, Rihanna, because I know that you focus mainly on food production. How is your technology or data in general going to optimize the food production process?
We think about this as a $3 trillion problem. I've connected with a lot of women here today and friends with several founders. I've been in the food industry for 10 years, and what's been not only from personal experience, but from experience working with food makers, founders, scientists, everyone that's a part of the industry, is that it takes too long. There's too many barriers to entry for quality food. And what we pitch here at Journey Foods is that we're solving the $3 trillion food package and process problem, right? Every single year, about $3 trillion is spent on packaged, processed, manufactured foods. That's 70% of our daily caloric intake in the US alone, are packaged, processed, manufactured foods. And highly attributed to lots of the problems that Alexis just mentioned with chronic disease. And that's why we call it the $3 trillion problem. For us, we really think that having foods that are causing obesity, diabetes, mental health problems, cancers, really the leading cause for most of the deaths across the world, should be curbed with high efficiencies and much higher rates. And so we're able to help procurement managers, heads of innovation, lead chefs, food scientists, product marketers make much faster decisions around, which sugars can go in certain products based on the country, how they can rapidly change a product to a plant-based ingredient formulation while also considering price, right? These are things that have largely been siloed within the food industry as well. Brokers and ingredient suppliers have held on to far too much power. And unfortunately, when you work in a company, lots of the tools that exist today don't lend to helping you make faster decisions, right? So there are people that come in and want to make a healthier product, that want to make a product that is gluten-free, that is plant-based. And there are still limitations to access to ingredients. There's still limitations to understanding costs. There's still limitations to the approval processes of government bodies based on the company or the country that you're selling your products into. And so we believe at Journey Foods that it shouldn't take anywhere from 9 months to 5 years to get a better product on the market. And as we collect millions of pieces of data every single month, we need to make sure that we have the end consumer in mind, and that's exactly what we're doing with our data. And it's just really exciting and fun. I mean, we're a team of food scientists and data scientists and engineers and product marketers. We're hiring right now too, but we want to make sure that we're thinking very holistically, comprehensively, and that our data makes sense and it speaks to people's needs. And that's what's most fun about it.
Excellent. And Alexis, I know you also were telling us a bit about the examples about how your data is actually, say influencing health outcomes. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about this, as well as talk about how you're disrupting, let's say, the traditional dietitian practices.
Sure. I mean, if you think about the factors, the different inputs that go into deciding what you're going to eat for breakfast or what you're going to eat for lunch, what you're going to eat for dinner. I mean, there's so many inputs that go into that decision making. And a part of our work, part of the challenge that we're working to solve is to really understand that end user, understand that person, whether it's someone who lives in LA and is trying to eat like Beyonce because they want to look good, or whether it's someone who lives in a food desert and is living with 2 chronic diseases and needs to figure out how to navigate that situation. We are working to really understand that end user and then understand what foods we need to recommend. One might be able to have a lot of chia seeds in what they're eating and some fun, exotic ingredients. And the other person really needs to understand, how do you give them a meal that will help prevent diabetes or reverse their diabetes for under $2, right? So the data we're collecting and starting to understand impacts all of that. And then in terms of disrupting traditional dietetics or nutrition work, traditionally that work is very manual. So meal planning for someone takes a lot of time traditionally. So we built software to make that much faster so that our team of food coaches and health coaches can quickly scale up the number of people that they can be helping in a given day, week, year.
Yeah, really fascinating. And I'm always curious, how easy is it to access this data? I'd always assume that it's all open source, especially when it comes to food and nutritional data. So, in terms of the business model, how do you monetize this data and how easy is it to source it? I think this question is open for either of you, if you guys want to take it.
Well, it's not all free. It's not all open source. For us, building the world's most actionable food database for food businesses is a challenge. I'm both coming from the side of having been a founder of a food company, of a CPG company, as well as a chain of juice bars, and sort of thinking about why we need to go in very hard and raise money for this every single day and meet the challenges. There are very disproportionate amounts of resources that are given to different government bodies. The US, for example, compared to the South Korean regulatory environment or, the open source data environment is very different. It's different in every country across the world. And what we've made sure of is that, one, we search high and low for data. We've raised millions of dollars so that we can purchase data, clean data, run natural language processing to PDFs, for example. If imagine that there's over 900 million types of ingredients out there that are going into manufacturing for food products that are on all of our shelves from different suppliers. All these suppliers are storing information on pieces of paper and emails and Google spreadsheets, and we have to find ways to access those as well as general nutrition data that's available in our consumer apps. And so for us, as we're looking at information that is very complex. Actually, we can't just go open source, and so it's a high blend of sources that we're pulling from, and we're going to continue to pull from those. And we found over 18,000 sources of data that we've cleaned up and integrated into our platform today. And if there's anyone here that has key information or data or wants to find ways to build APIs or connect with us, we have a marketplace as well. And so if you're looking for to bring data into your own platforms or into your business, or if you have data that you want to supply to a company that could be valuable to helping companies manufacture their foods better, we'll be very open to that. But that's what I've gone out to do. You know, I really love to talk before this with the CEO of Partake Foods, Denise Woodard. We did a program earlier this year for Goldman Sachs for Black and Latinx founders to try to help us raise more funds. This is a very tough problem. And, you know, being a minority founder in the space, especially in artificial intelligence and software, we're met with a lot of challenges to accelerate our businesses to the market. And I've made it quite clear that we have a big challenge ahead of us with ambitious goals. But I'm very, very excited for all of the support that we've gotten here in 2020 and to speak at events like this where we can find more partners in the market and grow every single week.
Yeah, and I'll just quickly add the way that we're monetizing. If you think about our data set from the perspective of the end user, it's a grocery list, and then this is what you should make for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And a lot goes into providing that data, but that's something that we're pulling from mostly closed source. We have a closed recipe database that's ours. We built it. And when it comes to working with, so we charge a membership, $14 a month or $99 a year. We're playing with pricing right now, but that's generally what we charge. And then we share in the revenue with our partners. And kind of going back to the last speaker, part of the joy is we partner with other people who are plant-based, and then we are able to fund their companies so that they can grow bigger because we're partnering with us. And then the beautiful part about healthcare is the diet that happens to be good for people is the diet that is good for the planet, and it's the diet that is good for the animals. And there is great financial alignment between a health plan that wants to prevent these chronic diseases or reverse them because they're very expensive, and our work to inspire people to eat a more plant-based diet. And so we can work with health plans in a number of ways. They can just pay us per patient or per member, or we can participate in risk-sharing contracts where we come in and say we can beat out the leading traditional medical protocol for this person by getting them to eat a plant-based diet, and we'll share in that cost savings.
Yeah, it's really in depth in terms of like all of the different components that you can do with this data and all the impact that you generate. For me, I'm always curious because we always hear about data collection and how there's a huge responsibility around data protection. And I'm always curious, is this applicable to the food and nutrition sector? And how do you sort of protect that kind of data, and how do you incorporate that into your business models?
Yeah, I mean that's interesting for us. We're B2B, and of course, Alexis, you're dealing with healthcare information as well and other recommendations that are sensitive to consumers. But for the founders of food companies or just founders here, you want to make sure that, of course, the information and the recipes and the products that you're bringing to market have a proprietary nature to them, and so we have we spend a lot of time focused on our compliance and our security, as well as just making sure that customers know that they can bring and take their data off at any time. We're not sharing recipe data with other companies or our recommendation, our concepts that we're giving to our companies. We recommend on a daily basis new ingredients and new recipes that would be more optimized to your consumers, your target consumer, and your company goals. And so data privacy is a very big key to how we operate at Journey Foods. And I think, for food and nutrition, while the health and wellness and the food of a country is a public health issue, of course, while it is a human right for us to spend money and offer more resources to every single human on the planet so that we can make sure that the food that we're eating 3 times a day serves all of us. I think we still, as with our business model, need to make sense of the fact that a lot of companies care much about what they're bringing to the market, and it's still a very competitive industry.
Yeah, I'll just add on. I know we're short on time. HIPAA and other data security is a huge part of what we do. I also want to say we are also hiring a data scientist in particular. So I want to make sure you can email careers@lighternutrition.com in case we don't have time.
No, yeah, we're almost out of time. But just before we go, I just would love to hear from you some words of inspiration and words of advice that you have for men and women who want to get into big data analytics. What are some of your, let's say, key words of advice for people to get into this sector?
Keep showing up, come to events like this and many other innovation summits that can connect you to wonderful people across the world. And especially for the women that are going into STEM, there are lots of barriers stacked against us, but the world is opening up and we're changing in every industry every single day at a time. We're more passionate. We drive better bottom lines. And so make sure that you're continuing to connect and be inspired. And we're going to change the world, many women in STEM in 2021. And so very excited to be here. And thank you for the invite.
I'll just say ditto since we're low on time. And please, if you're in data, apply to our position if you're looking.
All right, ladies, y'all are amazing. And I'm going to have to, you guys are like one where you have to Google it. You're like, okay, that was kind of interesting, but I got to learn more about what's going on with them. So thank you so much for joining. Thanks all the way from Kuwait, Dalal, from Boston, Alexis, from one of my favorite places, Austin, right, Rihanna?
Yes, that's awesome. All right. Thank you.
Awesome.